So one of the things I've noticed in your writing is you have a really real talent for getting your historical accuracy, making things that are so realistic, but then imbuing them with the grotesque. It reminds me of Penny Dreadfuls. And yeah, do you have any sort of advice on that?
I think the Penny Dreadfuls is obviously for things like the Seance and particularly Dr. Blessing's Curse are pretty good sort of examples, really, where, because the idea is that they're short and punchy and employ probably more the Gothic aesthetic rather than as a mode of arguing. But I think that if you look at those stories, I just wrote those because the Victorian era fascinates me. So you try to find things out about where that, what do I want to say, the snake oil salesmen or spiritualist mediums, the guys that might set up tricks and try to make people believe that they were contacting the dead and things like that. So you're seeing these sort of mystics and things like that. There was all of that was going on at that time. So I found that fascinating. It's like, well, how did they do what they were doing? So it's just taking something that fascinates or things from Victorian medical practices. And then horror's always going to explore fears anyway. And a lot of my fears stem from emotional things, uncertainties, self-doubt. And then, but it's not just the Victorian work, even in my contemporary work, the haunting at Collinwood House, I reflected on being bullied, fears, embracing fears that my sons, as they enter into high school, worried that they might face bullying, the powerlessness that you feel at being bullied, the powerlessness I would now feel as a parent if my kid was being bullied, because how can you get the parents of that kid over there to get their kid to cut it out? You're relying on them being good people too. And reflecting on how being bullied sort of made me neurotic, and I didn't know that it had until a couple of years ago. Yeah, again, through something that I studied, and it was something to do with World War One, and I got the definition of neurosis, of, that you're waiting for pain or a disaster that might not ever happen. And I thought, Jesus Christ, I've spent 40 years doing that. So I think, reflect on that then, and how it's maybe had an impact on family, friendships, romantic relationships, your relationship with jobs, where there's maybe things you think are looming on the horizon, and it makes you react a certain way to something that hasn't happened yet.